The Ukrainian armed forces have advanced in the Kursk region, Russians are bombing Sumy region, and in Kherson, drones have shot up a bus full of civilians. After Ukraine, Putin might send tens of thousands of troops into Europe. Poland is already arming itself to the teeth. The EU has approved the 17th package of sanctions against Russia, targeting 200 ships of the Shadow Fleet. Shaheds have become even more dangerous. Now they carry almost twice as much explosives and cause severe fires. And Trump wants to deport 200,000 Ukrainians from the US and pay them $1,000 each from foreign aid funds. Hello, my name is Veronica Averiamiva, and before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and like this video if we've caught your interest. Things are about to get heated. Russia could attack Poland or Lithuania if hostilities in Ukraine come to a halt. This is reported by Bild, citing its own sources. The article states, Western intelligence fears that if a ceasefire is established, Russia may move its troops to the borders of Finland, Norway, as well as the Baltic countries and Belarus, closer to Poland. According to the publication's source, in recent months, Moscow has prepared military infrastructure and already has corresponding plans, but cannot implement them because of the war in Ukraine. If things quiet down in Ukraine in the near future, Russia will send troops to Belarus. It is there that the Zapad 2025 exercises are planned. The scenario is the same as in 2021, when military maneuvers served as a cover for the invasion of Ukraine. But this time, Poland or Lithuania could be the ones under threat.
Of course, we all want peace in Ukraine, but we also have to be honest, if the war continues, Zapad 2025 will remain just a maneuver, since the decisive forces are engaged elsewhere. If it ends on Russia's terms, the West could face a new war against us.
Another Western official says outright, the Kremlin sees weakness as an opportunity for further conquests. And if the Russian dictator is allowed to keep the temporarily occupied territories, he will look for the next, more significant objective. What do you think? Does Putin really plan to attack Poland or Lithuania? Meanwhile, Poland is actively arming itself and preparing for possible aggression from Russia. A Telegram channel has shared an infographic based on open data from NATO and the Polish Ministry of Finance. It is noted that since the beginning of 2022, Ukraine has signed large-scale contracts for more than 8,000 missiles, over 3,000 armored vehicles, and 2,200 artillery systems. Warsaw began strengthening its defenses immediately after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. In 3 years, Poland's defense budget has tripled to reach 4.7% in 2025. That's about $47.5 billion. And what do you think all this is leading to? Share your thoughts. It would be interesting to read them. And now to news from the front. The armed forces of Ukraine have advanced in the Kursk region near Borova and Toretsk. This was reported by the Institute for the Study of War. Analysts claim that the most difficult directions as of today remain Pokrovsk and Zaporizhzhia. At the same time, the Russians have become more active in the east and are bombing the Sumy region. This was reported on his Telegram channel by Andriy Kovalenko, the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation.
On the front, the Russians have intensified their actions in the east, are bombing the Sumy region, and are launching strike drones every day. The enemy is doing everything possible to avoid the topic of a ceasefire.
Also, as a result of the Russian attack on the Sumy region, hydraulic structures in the Velikopisarivska community were damaged. Currently, there is no flooding in the populated areas. And in Kherson, the Russians shelled a passenger bus. 5 civilians were injured. This is yet another proof that not only the front lines, but also civilians are under enemy fire. Meanwhile, according to serviceman Yehor Chaikirinda, we should not expect a ceasefire anytime soon, because Putin is preparing for a major battle this summer.
He is preparing for the summer campaign, and as the supreme commander of the Russian army, he believes that during this summer campaign they will achieve such successes that afterwards they will enter negotiations from a much stronger position so that Ukraine will surrender, give up, and everything will turn out completely differently than it is now.
On a positive note, a Ukrainian sniper from a sniper group eliminated a Russian armored personnel carrier's mechanic driver with a shot to the head from a distance of 1 1,700 meters. And this was under conditions of poor visibility, thoroughly shooting at armored vehicles reinforced with rubber and logs. The moment of this brilliant shot was published on a Telegram channel. What can I say? I never cease to be amazed by our armed forces. Give this video a like for the perfect, precise work of our sniper. New sanctions against Russia. The EU has approved a new package of sanctions against the Russian Federation.
The 17th package of sanctions against Russia targets nearly 200 ships of the Shadow Fleet. The new measures also address hybrid threats and human rights.
European partners also added that an even larger package of sanctions against the Russian Federation is being prepared. Work on the 18th package has already begun. In addition to Russian banks, there may also be restrictions against banks from non-EU countries that support the Russian defense industry. In addition, the United Kingdom has also announced large-scale sanctions against Russia in support of Ukraine. According to reports on the government website, the sanctions target 100 entities in Russia's military, energy, and financial sectors, as well as those conducting Putin's information war against Ukraine.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
And while Russia tries to create the illusion of its supposed willingness to cease fire, that same Russia continues to modernize its Shahed drones. This is reported by the publication Defense Express.
Russian long-range drones of the Shahed 136 type have started to be equipped with two new types of combined warheads, one of which is produced in Russia and the other in Iran. Both have an increased weight, from the standard 50 kilograms to 90 kilograms.
So, as we can see, the Russians are preparing for anything but peace. From a comedian actor to a leader who receives standing ovations from the political elite all over the world. It has been 6 years since Zelensky became the president of Ukraine. On the day of his inauguration, Volodymyr Zelensky was full of strength and energy and smiled a lot.
Among the important steps were the adoption of the electoral code and the launch of digital services as part of the State in a Smartphone project. One of the most successful decisions is considered to be the creation of the DIA app. Programs for deregulation and road construction were also implemented as part of the Great Construction Initiative. In 2021, a law on the land market was adopted.
The first serious crisis that occurred during Zelensky's term was the coronavirus pandemic. Later, another challenge arose, one that proved to be fateful and changed the president forever, both outwardly and inwardly. Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine. It was at that moment that he became a true leader of his people, gaining recognition all over the world.
In 2022, Ukraine was granted candidate status for joining the EU. The European Union supported the start of membership negotiations. Time magazine named Zelensky Person of the Year, and his image, the spirit of Ukraine.
According to the law, the president of Ukraine can serve for 5 years, but the war changed everything. Currently, martial law is in effect in Ukraine, and during this period, holding elections is impossible. So now, in the 6th year of his presidency, according to a May 2025 poll, most Ukrainians trust President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's 74%. Goodbye, America, for 200,000 Ukrainians. That's the number of Ukrainians who may become part of what could be called a process of voluntary deportation from the US. This is reported by the Washington Post.
The Trump administration will spend $250 million, which were allocated for foreign aid, to fund the removal and return of people who came to America from active conflict zones, including 700,000 Ukrainian and Haitian migrants who fled to the United States amid severe ongoing violence in their home countries.
It should be added that during Joe Biden's presidency, both Ukrainians and Haitians were granted temporary protection, allowing them to stay in the US if they cannot return to their home countries. And what do you think about such a move from President Trump? And now, attention. Gauleiter Pushilin has stated that Russia plans to preserve the Ukrainian cities they themselves destroyed, so that later they can show these ruins to tourists. This was reported by blogger Denis Zelensky on his Telegram channel. In short, as was warned, there will be no restoration of Donbas, and under whatever pretext they abandon everything now, it doesn't really matter anymore. The fact is that Russia came and destroyed everything, and now the people whose homes and families were taken from them are being told to console themselves with the idea that their ruined lives will become an attraction. What can you even say to that? Yet another new low from the Russians. Basically, it's the same as always with Russia. Came, destroyed, and now they're even going to give tours among the ruins. Russia is subjecting Ukrainian children in the occupied territories to propaganda. Another horrifying story is being reported by Ukrainska Pravda.
This year's high school graduates from the temporarily occupied territories of Donetsk, Luhansk regions, and Crimea have not spent a single day studying under the Ukrainian curriculum. They were 5 years old when these lands were occupied.
Children there are deliberately misinformed.
I saw the real map of the occupied territories only after I found myself in the territory controlled by Ukraine. We were constantly shown a map of Donetsk region.
Fear. That's what the young generation of Ukrainians on the occupied territories is living through.
It was difficult. At home, within 4 walls, you speak Ukrainian. And you also speak Ukrainian with your friends online. But as soon as you step outside, say, to go to the store, you tremble, because you're afraid you might accidentally use a Ukrainian word. I understood that it would be easy to find me and throw me into a basement.
This is the true face of Russia. Share your thoughts on this horror. And now, let's talk about how Russian propaganda creates fakes about the armed forces of Ukraine and tries to convince European media of them. This time, they tried to deceive an Estonian publication.
A woman contacted the editorial office of Raspostimis, asking them to publish her story. They offered us an extremely unusual military drama with elements of crime. The story of a grief-stricken widow who lost her husband in the battles for Ukraine turned out to be nothing like it first appeared. The widow invented a husband for herself.
However, they didn't do their homework, and the lie was spotted because the woman provided a photo of the well-known Russian Nazi Milchakov, trying to pass him off as a Ukrainian armed forces soldier. But if they had done it more subtly, the story could very well have seemed believable. What do you think of these methods of Russian propaganda? Write your thoughts. A royal visit to Ukraine. Crown Prince Haakon of Norway has arrived in Ukraine for the first time. According to the Norwegian government, this is a gesture of support for the Ukrainian people and government. The country's Minister of Energy arrived together with the Crown Prince. Thank you so much. Our own thank you. The Crown Prince began his first visit by visiting a rehabilitation center in Irpin. During the meeting with President Zelensky, they discussed strengthening cultural ties, support in the energy sector, and new defense investments. We thank our partners for their support. We truly appreciate it. Another royal family from Great Britain has also shown extraordinary support for Ukraine. Honestly, I was very touched by this. Ukrainian entrepreneur Hanna Petrova met the Prince and Princess of Wales by William and Kate on the Isle of Iona near Scotland. She shared this story on her Instagram. According to the woman, she noticed members of the royal family out for a walk and decided to approach them. The couple immediately stopped to talk with the Ukrainian woman and express their support.
But when Prince William came closer, I said, "Anna from Ukraine." These words stopped him. And for the next 5 minutes, we talked about Ukraine, about the war, about pain, about mental health. I shared that 76% of people in Ukraine have symptoms of depression. Princess Kate joined us. I thanked her for visiting the welcome hubs for Ukrainians. I told her that I prayed for her health. She responded sincerely, emphasized the importance of mental health, and mentioned the initiative of the First Lady of Ukraine. Thank you for watching.
At the end, Prince William said, "We are praying for Ukraine." And as the woman notes, these were not official words. This was human support. We are sincerely grateful. Such small moments give us the feeling that we are not alone in this terrible struggle. That's all for now. Give this video a like. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes. And then we'll definitely see each other again.